check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Man, what's happening to everybody, man? Hope everybody doing good out there today. I had a couple of computer problems last night, and everything froze up on me. So we back again, man. We finna run this thing back one more time. I hope everybody enjoying their Saturday. As always, man, like, share, subscribe, like the show. You know how we do it. Let's tap in, man. Let's go on back and look at some more Black Brown Table reruns, because that's what we calling it. And we're gonna do it like that. You feel me? At least till some people come in the room. Uh, gonna do it like this. Let me see what we at. We're gonna do it like this. We definitely gotta have a commercial break.
Stop what you're doing. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Pause that, pause that. I know you now tuned in with the Black Brown Table. Stop what you're doing. Look at your screen. Look up right there at the little top. Yo, right there at the top. You see that little bronze bell? Hit that for your boy. Hit that for the Black Brown Table. So you can get all notifications when we go live, when the primary corners drop, when OGUN readings drop. Hit that bell for the team. Just do that. Thank you.
Yo. All right. If y'all hear some heavy breathing, man, that's my dog. He right here. Oh, let's see. Oh, this a good one.
Commitment to truth telling lays the groundwork for the openness and honesty that is the heartbeat of love. When we can see ourselves as we truly are and accept ourselves, we build the necessary foundation for self love. We have all heard the maxim, if you do not love yourself, you will be unable to love anyone else. Yeah, it sounds good. Yet more often than not, we feel some degree of confusion when we hear this statement. The confusion arises because most people who think they are not lovable have this perception because at some point in their lives, they were socialized to see themselves as unlovable by forces outside of their control. We are not born knowing how to love anyone, either ourselves or somebody else. However, we are born able to respond to care. As we grow, we can give and receive attention, affection, and joy. Whether we learn how to love ourselves and others will depend on the presence of a loving environment. Self love cannot flourish in isolation. It is no easy task to be self loving. Simple axioms that make self love sound easy only make matters worse. It leaves many people wondering why, if it is so easy, they continue to be trapped by feelings of low self esteem or self hatred. Using a working definition of love that tells us it is the action we take on behalf of our own or others' spiritual growth provides us with a beginning blueprint for working on the issue of self love. When we see love as a combination of trust, commitment, care, respect, knowledge, and responsibility, we can work on developing these qualities, or if they are already a part of who we are, we can learn to extend them to others.
Yes, sir. Long live Mama Bell Hooks. She always gave us the blueprint on what black love look like. What love look like coming from a black perspective. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Let's look at the. Hold on. Let's look at this one right here. Where we at? I just seen one that I wanted to. Here we go. Where we at, yo?
Paradoxically, the struggle for civil rights has reached a stage of profound crisis, although its outward aspect is distinctly less turbulent, and victories of token integration have been won in the hard resistance areas of Virginia and Arkansas. The crisis has its origin in a decision rendered by the Supreme Court more than a year ago, which upheld the pupil placement law. Though little noticed then, this decision fundamentally weakened the historic 1954 ruling of the court. It is imperceptibly becoming the basis of a de facto compromise between the powerful contending forces. In 1954, the decision required for effective implementation resolute federal action supported by mass action to undergird all necessary changes. It is obvious that the federal action by the legislative and executive branches was half-hearted and inadequate. The activity of Negro forces, while heroic in some instances and impressive in other sporadic situations, lacked consistency and militancy sufficient to fill the void left by government default. The segregationists were swift to seize these advantages and, unrestrained by moral or social conscience, defied the law boldly and brazenly. The net effect of this social equation has led to the present situation, which is without clear-cut victory for either side. Token integration is a developing pattern. This type of integration is merely an affirmation of the principle without the substance of change. It is, like the Supreme Court decision, a pronouncement of justice, but by itself does not ensure that the millions of Negro children will be educated in conditions of equality. This is not to say that it is without value. It has substantial importance. However, it fundamentally changes the outlook of the whole movement, for it raises the prospect of the long, slow change without a predictable end. As we have seen in northern cities, token integration has become a pattern in many communities and remained frozen, even though environmental attitudes are substantially less hostile to full integration than in the South. This, then, is the danger. Full integration can easily become a distant or mythical goal. Major integration may be long postponed, and in the quest for social calm, a compromise firmly implemented in which the real goals are merely token integration for a long period to come. The Negro was the tragic victim of another compromise in 1878, when his full equality was bargained away by the federal government in a condition somewhat above slave status, but short of genuine citizenship, became his social and political existence for nearly a century. There is reason to believe that the Negro of 1959 will not accept supinely any such compromise in the contemporary struggle for integration. His struggle will continue, but the obstacles will determine its specific nature. It's axiomatic in social life that the imposition of frustrations leads to two kinds of reactions. One is the development of a wholesome social organization to resist with effective, firm measures any efforts to impede progress. The other is a confused, anger-motivated drive to strike back violently to inflict damage. Primarily, it seeks to cause injury to retaliate for wrongful suffering. Secondarily, it seeks real progress. It is punitive, not radical or constructive. The current calls for violence have their roots in this later tendency. Here, one must be clear that there are three different views on the subject of violence. One is the approach of pure nonviolence, which cannot readily or easily attract large masses, for it requires extraordinary discipline and courage. The second is violence, exercised in self-defense, which all societies, from the most primitive to the most cultured and civilized, accept as moral and legal. The principle of self-defense, even involving weapons and bloodshed, has never been condemned, even by Gandhi, who sanctioned it for those unable to master pure nonviolence. The third is the advocacy of violence as a tool of advancement, organized as in warfare, deliberately and consciously. To this tendency, many Negroes are being tempted today. There are incalculable perils in this approach. It is not the danger or sacrifice of physical being which is primary, though it cannot be contemplated without a sense of deep concern for human life. The greatest danger that it will fail to attract Negroes to a real collective struggle and will confuse the large, uncommitted middle group, which as yet not supported either side. Further, it will mislead Negroes into the belief that this is the only path and place them as a minority in a position where they confront a far larger adversary than it is possible to defeat in this form of combat. When the Negro uses force in self-defense, he does not forfeit support. He may even win it by the courage and self-respect it reflects. When he seeks to initiate violence, he provokes questions about the necessity for it, and inevitably is blamed for its consequences. It is unfortunately true that however the Negro acts, his struggle will not be free of violence initiated by his enemies, and he will need ample courage and willingness to sacrifice to defeat his manifestation of violence. But if he seeks it and organizes it, he cannot win. Does this leave the Negro without a positive method to advance? Mr. Robert Williams would have us believe that there is no collective and practical alternative. He argues that we must be cringing and submissive or take up arms. To so place the issue distorts the whole problem. There are other meaningful alternatives. The Negro people can organize socially to initiate many forms of struggle, which can drive their enemies back without resort to futile and harmful violence. In the history of the movement for racial advancement, many creative forms have been developed. The mass boycott, sit-down protests and strikes, sit-ins, refusal to pay fines and bail for unjust arrests, mass marches, mass meetings, prayer pilgrimages, etc. Indeed, in Mr. Williams' own community of Monroe, North Carolina, a striking example of collective community action won a significant victory without use of arms or threats of violence. When the police incarcerated a Negro doctor unjustly, the aroused people of Monroe marched to the police station, crowded into the halls and corridors, and refused to leave until the colleague was released. Unable to arrest everyone, the authorities released the doctor, and neither side attempted to unleash violence. This experience was related by the doctor who was the intended victim. There is more power in socially organized masses on the march than there is in guns in the hands of a few desperate men. Our enemies would prefer to deal with a small armed group rather than a huge, unarmed, but resolute mass of people. However, it is necessary that the mass action method be persistent and unyielding. Gandhi said the Indian people must never let them rest, referring to the British. He urged them to keep protesting daily and weekly in a variety of ways. This method inspired and organized the Indian masses and disorganized and demobilized the British. It educates myriad participants socially and morally. All history teaches us that like a turbulent ocean beating great cliffs into fragments of rock, the determined movement of the people incessantly demanding their rights always disintegrates the old order. It is this form of struggle, non-cooperation with evil through mass action, never letting them rest, which offers the more effective road for those who have been tempted and goaded to violence. It needs the bold and the brave, because it is not free of danger. It faces the vicious and evil enemy squarely. It requires dedicated people to it. It's backbreaking task to arouse, to organize, and to educate tens of thousands for disciplined, sustained action. From this form of struggle, more emerges that is permanent and damaging to the enemy than from a few acts of organized violence. Our present urgent necessity is to cease our internal fighting and turn outward to the enemy, using every form of mass action yet known, create new forms, and resolve never to let them rest. This is the social lever which will force open the door of freedom. Our powerful weapons are the voices, the feet, and the bodies of dedicated, united people moving without rest toward a just goal. Greater tyrants than Southern segregationists have been subdued and defeated by this form of struggle. We have not yet used it, and it would be tragic if we spurn it because we have failed to perceive its dynamic strength and power. To set the record straight on any implications that I am inconsistent in my struggle against war and too weakened to protest nuclear war, may I state that repeatedly in public addresses and in my writings, I have unequivocally declared my hatred for the most colossal of all evils, and I have condemned any organizer, regardless of his rank and nationality. I have signed numerous statements with other Americans condemning nuclear testing, have authorized publications of my name and advertisements appearing in the largest circulation newspapers in the country, without concern that it was then unpopular to do so, to speak out.
Man, you talk about tapped in. Oh my God, that was a good one, TK. That was a real good one right there, bro. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That right there kind of got me charged up to show this. Hold on, where we at? I did a live. Was it live? Did I go live? Here we go. Let me see. I think this part 1.
Man, what's happening, man? This your boy OGUN Bowler, man. Checking in. Make sure you like, subscribe, throw them up the video, share the show, man. No doubt. Definitely want to give a shout out, man. Give a couple shout out, man. To each one, teach one. Big up the truth story, truth the story. Big up Raw Boy. Big up Sunil, man. Make sure you go subscribe to the old fellas channel, man. It's a lot of history on there. It's a lot of good things, man. So, like I say, man, this your boy, OGUN Bowler, checking in from the Black Bround Table. And I definitely want to say, man, like the show, share the show, subscribe, thumb up the video.
Grab your popcorn. Hope everybody feeling good on this beautiful. This is fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teacher scholarship, and research. Fair use, fair use. Please don't subscribe my channel. We'll otherwise be infringing. None. Great. Hey, freed ourselves. Before I be a slave, I be carried in the mother.
We went to church every Sunday. Jose William, that wife of his 5 children, went to Sunday school every Sunday. I went to choir practice every Wednesday night. All of us could sing for years. But I never met God until I met Martin Luther King Jr.
You heard that?
Black people today
Go about the video, please.
are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago.
Woo!
Because not only have we not gained our fair share of Sunday school every Sunday. I went to choir practice.
Listen who he said made God.
For years. But I never met God until I met Martin Luther King Jr. Black people today are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago. Because not only have we not gained our fair share of America's economy,
man, hit the cash out,
we have
man.
lost control
man,
of the economics of our community.
Please donate.
I'm going to do what I believe is right and godly, irregardless what they say about me. Well, after I came out of the
donations, gifts,
and went back to Attapulgis, Georgia, I faced some horrible racial attacks. And I had made a deal with my grandfather before I went in the army. I was a hustler, and that I would send the money back to him that I hustled. And when I returned, we would divide it 50-50. But after I ran into these racial attacks down there, he told me one day, I want you to leave. You can take all the money. I just want you to leave because they're going to kill you if you stay here. And I start thinking, where would I go? To Jacksonville, to Miami, Savannah, Birmingham. And I finally agreed that I heard so much talk about Atlanta. I'd even heard things like there are 2 places in Georgia. You have Atlanta, and then you have Georgia. So I came to Atlanta, and to tell you the truth, it was truly amazing to me. I'd never visualized the Black prosperity, Black success, the Black ownership. I just couldn't hardly believe it. Unquestionably, I believe that Auburn Avenue was the Black Mecca of the nation. Black Auburn Avenue was not only the Black economic Mecca of the nation, Auburn Avenue was the Black social Mecca of the nation. Now, you had Hunter Street and Atlanta University, but it was just amazing to me. I didn't know white folk live at this level. Many of the things they had on Auburn, they had 2 of the finest nightclubs in America. That's where I met Ray Charles and many other entertainers. I mean, in these places they were unquestionably high class. Everybody dressed to the T. Everybody acted intelligent. You know, no whole lot of vulgar, no whole lot of violence, and I just couldn't hardly believe it. I can remember they used to have Bladen Business School out, and all these pretty
Hey, y'all nigga
women,
with boots.
young women going to school. And I used to get sharp as a tack, dressed down, and just to stand on the corner. That's the truth. Stand on the corner. I was not the only one just to see these beautiful people pass by. I couldn't believe Yates and Milton, which was the largest black drugstore chain in America, Yates and Milton. But they had on Auburn Avenue had two banks, and Citizen Trust, I was told, was the richest bank in America at that time, richest black bank. Then they had one of the richest companies in America, black-owned companies, which was Atlanta Light. They had two hell of a steakhouses. It was just, it was, I couldn't believe it. I don't believe there was no place in the world that blacks was as prosperous. I used to talk about how fine Atlanta, Georgia was at that time. And you had Peachtree Street, which the white people owned and operated. But you had Auburn Avenue. And I think Auburn Avenue was as much responsible for the progress of Atlanta as Peachtree Street. This is probably the only city that I'd ever known, and even today, that one of the reasons for the black progress, blacks did not have to go to white people for nothing, because the big money was being made at Atlanta Light, but deposit basically in Citizen Trust. And that's where all these black people are getting this money to buy these homes and put up these businesses. But it was just, I know I never heard talk of a black radio station till I came. Black radio station owned and operated. And it was just, but Atlanta was just so fine. And at that time, there was unquestionable difference said between, you had Auburn Avenue and a few blocks south of Auburn Avenue. That's where you found the thugs, the pimps, you know. That was over in Decatur Street. Of course, you had just north of it, had Buttermilk Bottom, which wasn't so bad. It was a residential area, but Auburn, I mean, it was just, I don't know any place that you could go in the world that was as peaceful and people was as educated and intelligent and happy, particularly blacks at Auburn Avenue.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
When I went into the Army, I had only, I left the 7th grade. I had not graduated, I had not even finished the 7th grade. But I learned in the Army. When I went to the Army, I was small framed, but I was an authentic gangster, an authentic street thug, robber, pimp. But when I went to the Army, that's where I learned, and that's where I found confidence and faith in myself. And I remember one time that I was a staff sergeant at the age of 19. And I remember a few months after that, the assistant company commander was transferred, and I just wasn't no question about who would get the position. Jose William would get the position. And when they appointed another young guy, and I went to the company commander, we was quite friendly, and I said, please tell me what happened, why you didn't appoint me. And he said, Jose, that guy has 2 years in college. And you know, you didn't even finish high school. And he was explaining things to me. Those are the kind of experiences that brought me around to realizing that how bad I needed an education. So when I went back to Bainbridge, I went to the high school, and I tried to register the senior class, and they said, no, you can't do that. And I went and met with the, I was about 22 years old, and I went and met with the principal, Mrs. Hutto, Ms. Hutto High. And we had a long conversation. I convinced her. And she said, I'm gonna give you a chance. You've impressed me. And I went on and graduated from Hutto High. And I had a friend, a close friend of mine. He was a student at Morehouse. He was a junior. And he just felt like I would have no problem. And then Morehouse would welcome me. And so we came to Morehouse, and they, after checking my records, they said that they couldn't accept me, that I didn't have the academic background, and they just couldn't accept me. But my friend was upset, and he said, don't worry. He'd been dating the secretary, one of the president's, Clark's secretary. And he said, I know I can get you. She's very influential with him. We went to Clark, and I applied for Clark. And Clark gave me the same answer Morehouse gave me, that, sorry, but we cannot accept you. You just don't have the academic background. And we always heard, and he thought about his father and called his father back in Bainbridge. And his father happened to be very friendly with the AME preacher. And the AME preacher down in Bainbridge was a very close friend of Bishop Fountain. At that time, Fountain was the AME bishop, and his son was the president of Morris Brown. And so Bishop Fountain requested his son to talk to me. And I went in and talked to President Fountain, president of the college. And when the conversation was ended, he said, you know what, you've impressed me. I'm going to violate the rules and regulations of this institution. I am going to let you enter. But I want you to remember one thing. If you make one mistake, you'll be out and you never can return. And that's how I really got into college.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
Well, when I first finished college, I got a job teaching down in Conyers, Georgia. I'd married this beautiful lady, and teaching I didn't have the courses in college that would make me automatically a professional teacher. So I'd have to teach so many years to acquire the normal salary. And I got a job at the post office. I was working in the daytime at teaching school, and at night I was working at U.S. Post Office. And I heard of the government back in those days. They hired individuals now based upon their academic achievements. But back in those days, you had to take an exam. And it was really a miracle. I know I'd been out partying all night and drinking and partying. And I went in the next morning to take the exam. And I guess it might have been the results of my lucrativeness. But I was just shocked, because you had some sharp guys in there from all of the colleges around. Some who was teaching at the colleges here. And I made 95 on the exam. Well, by being a disabled veteran, that gave me 105. So I got the job. They first sent me to Washington, and after weeks of orientation, they transferred me back to Savannah, Georgia. And that was the headquarters for the Chemical Division of the United States Department of Agriculture. And the head of the chemistry lab carried me around in the lab, and it was really shocking to me. And I've tried to give information back to the Atlanta University system, because when that man carried me through that lab and showed me those instruments, when we finished, he said, you seem so unhappy. You have a problem? I said, yes, I do have a problem, sir. Because all those instruments that you showed me, I have never operated a single one.
Talk to her,
And
Jose.
they, you know, at
Peace,
Georgia
Josh.
Tech and other places then, were not only teaching kids how to operate those instruments, they could break them down and put them back together. And I was just totally devastated. He was a Cuban, Cipriano Cueto. And Cipri said to me, he said, young man, if you want the job and you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach you. And he was a chemical nut. And I guess for the next 2 or 3 years, the majority of the nights we stayed in that chemistry lab till 10 or 11 o'clock.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
Even though I was the most productive chemist in that lab, and I'm not talking about just running analyses, but I'm talking about in the area of research also. I really was, it was like being in heaven to me, because the whites accepted me as the only black professional. And they had entomologists and, you know, biologists, just a whole lot of scientists and professionals, and they accepted me. And I was the first black to be able to eat at a hotel in Savannah. The American Chemical Society met there, because we used to go to meetings down at the hotels, and when it come time to eat, they'd have a room to put blacks in, and all the white people sit out in the dining room. And I used to go to these guys' home, these white guys' homes, and party with them, dance with their wives, and drink with them. And they used to tell me, like, Jose, black people don't have to be down. You are not down because you studied hard and you work hard. And if other blacks were like you, they would have to be down. And I really believe that. It really got me believing I was better than the vast majority of black folks. And Savannah, Georgia had something that I've not witnessed in other cities, a true upper class black population. That we didn't go to nightclubs that was below our dignity. We partied in our house, and we spent a lot of time in Trinidad, the areas of as of such. But I started thinking, and I found out one thing. When a job was available, see, at the employment office downtown, the white employment office was on the first floor, and the black employment office on the second floor. And whenever they had vacancies, it didn't go any further than the white employment office. And so I started telling, I had one guy who had helped me out so much in area chemistry, working at Savannah State. And he went out there and he even applied. And they never would hire another black. And then I began to truly feel I was what they called under slavery, a house nigger. They would have Jose William here as a scientist, the first black scientist hired by the federal government south of DC. And that really, it tore me apart. Now, all of the persons in that lab never turned against me, but many of them did turn against me. My job became from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the sea. And I really, things became very difficult for me at that time, but I continued. And I had become very, things that happened in Savannah, and I got very involved with the NAACP, W.W. Law, who was considered one of the top NAACP people in the Southland. W.W. Law, we had gotten to be like the civil rights twins. And I could see it, that not another black professional out here. They don't intend to hire another black professional. And they're using me. When a black come out and they turn him down and say, y'all are prejudiced, y'all are racist. No, we not. We have Jose Williams. And it's my intent to see that some more blacks was hired. And I got very involved in the NAACP. And more, it was brought to my attention, and I was aware of the professional racism that I was being subjected to. And I remember becoming very conscious of of the civil rights organizations, because I really then, my interest in science began dwindling, and my interest in civil rights grew more and more. And I noticed that all of the civil rights organizations, their office was in New York, and their leaders was in New York. They had Roy Wilkins of the NAACP and Whitney Young of the Urban League and on and on. But they were in New York, and I became so vibrant, so successful as one of the NAACP leaders in the South. I was a member of the Savannah, Georgia branch, one of the most active chapters in the South. And I was a member of, I was vice president of Georgia, which is one of the most active states in the South. And I was also a member of the NAACPs and regions. But one thing I noticed, all those leaders of all those other civil rights organizations, including NAACP, lived in New York. And they'd send us memorandums through the mail telling us how to get free. Send us memorandums telling us how to fight the Ku Klux Klan. And one day I was watching television, and this is about 1955, and I saw this young man in Montgomery, Alabama, and he told the people, y'all get behind me, and I'm going to lead you and show you how to get free. And I said, my God, I got to go see this man. So I jumped in the car, and a couple of kids, I was head of the youth council in Savannah, and we drove to Montgomery, and that's where I tell everybody that Jose William and that wife and those 5 children, we went to church every Sunday. Jose William, that wife, and his 5 children went to Sunday school every Sunday. I went to choir practice every Wednesday night. All of us could sing.
That wife.
For years.
That wife.
But I never met God till I met Martin Luther King Jr. And King was not my God, but the true God revealed himself to me through King. And that's when I knew I had to give up. Oh, I was living, oh man, it was, I had the second largest house of any black family in Savannah, and my wife, the largest house of any, and that's when I knew I had to give up. Oh, I was living, oh, Junior. And King was not my God. Every Wednesday night, all of us could sing for years, but I never met God till I met Martin Luther King Jr. And King was not my God, but the true God revealed himself to me through King. And that's when I knew I had to give up. Oh, I was living, oh man, it was, I had the second largest house of any black family in Savannah, and my wife wore furs and diamond rings, and we lived on the street, college president and a few doctors and lawyers and college professors. That's the only thing that lived on the street that I lived on, Gilbert Street. And it was a kind of a pitiful thing, because I had been soaked up in the upper class society. I was so popular in Savannah till I bought the first Cadillac came to town every year. The very few railroads in Savannah. So these things are brought in Savannah on trucks. Very few railroads in Savannah. And they'd bring the truck in, and all the press would be there, and all the big shots, black and white. At first Cadillac that came off that truck, that belonged to Jose William. And I just, I'd been eaten up by the American society, looking for what I already had, you know. And when I went into civil rights, I gave it all up. It was very difficult for my wife and to some extent to my children. But when I found Martin Luther King Jr., I gave it all up.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
I ended up getting kicked out of the NAACP because of my militancy. And I went to Dr. King and asked him, could I work with SCLC? And he said, we'd be glad to have you. And I started working with SCLC. So I went back to Savannah and organized a SCLC chapter. And we became, after Birmingham, Savannah, Georgia became the #1 civil rights movement in America. And that we really battled there. They kept me, that picture up there, they kept me in jail 35 days on bread and water. That's when my wife came to get me out of jail. My bond had gone up to $150,000. and they had the bonds $2,500 each. And if you had a piece of land worth $1 million and you bond me out on one bond, they wouldn't let you put anything else on that property. So we won that battle in Savannah, Georgia. We had pleas from Millsby Lane, who was the president of the C&S Bank. We had pleas from President Kennedy at that time. And I remember when we settled the movement in Savannah, they gave us every demand. They made every demand except two. They said we were going to not integrate the bars until after New Year's night. And that's a big time in Savannah. And we won't integrate the swimming pools until the season, the next spring season. Well, the swimming pools was closed anyway. And at that time, Dr. King called the SCLC convention in Savannah and announced, to my amazement, at Savannah, Georgia. This is after Birmingham. Savannah, Georgia was the most integrated city south of the Mason-Dixon line. And so I really began to try to leave the chemistry lab and ended up as a full-time staff member on Dr. King's team.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
That's what was driving them crazy down there. We'd have this big rally, and then we'd get out and we'd march every night. We'd march every night. And I was operating under the name of SCLC's Voters League. And I was really trying to get Dr. King into Savannah. And every one of the officials from SCLC, from Abernathy on down, did come to Savannah. It's the first time Andy Young had been arrested in the civil rights movement, as long as he'd been there. But Dr. King never did come to Savannah. I would come to Atlanta and we'd have conferences and I would talk to him over the phone. He promised me he'd come, but for some reason, he never came to Savannah until the movement was over. And then he called his annual convention in Savannah. I remember he gave me the award of the year. And that's where we really began to associate. I don't know why Dr. King is one of the things I never found out, why he never came to the movement in Savannah. And this was right after Birmingham. And I don't know whether it was the threats on his life or what, but he never did come to Savannah. It was kind of embarrassing because Savannah turned out to be the #1 victory in the civil rights movement up until that time. And he admitted this. This is the most integrated city south of the Mason-Dixon line, and no one is more responsible for it than Jose Williams. So I never did really just come out and ask him, Doc, why you never came to Savannah?
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
When I came to SCLC, I was so angry. I was so impatient until I would start moving every place they sent me. And I've always believed they sent me to St. Augustine, in a town where the movement was dying, believing I could not revive it. St. Augustine, Florida. It was a dentist there, and he had, I remember the first night I spoke there, they had about, they brought me from the little black motel down to the church. And I looked, they had, I mean, really, it must have been 40 guys with guns around the church while we have the beating inside. My God, what am I facing now? But I did settle down and convince them to get rid of all those guns and abandon violence. And let's take up Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence. And then the movement grew so large and it became such a national news media factor. And I think Dr. King really was kind of forced to come to St. Augustine. But as the things worked out, we've always said that Birmingham, Alabama, the movement in Birmingham, Alabama, produced and produced the Civil Rights Bill, but it got bogged down in Congress. And it was St. Augustine, Florida that pushed it on through. We would go out to the Atlantic Ocean, and that was really tragic for me because I don't know how to swim. And we'd go out to the beach, and then they'd have just a line, the sheriff worked on the head of the Ku Klux Klan, was called Horseman, and they'd just be lined up, 50, 75 Ku Klux Klans with sticks, with bats. And they'd wait till we get out in that water. We'd go out there, maybe it's beautiful beaches down there. Maybe we go out in that water, say 40 or 50 feet out in the water, which was about almost waist deep. And they'd come out there and beat us down in the water. And then the sheriff would announce everyone was under arrest. He took all his deputies, and they'd take us all to jail. We who was in there demonstrating, it was $50 to get us out of jail. The whites that beat us up, the Ku Klux Klan, it was $2.50 to get them out of jail. And finally, it became such a national issue until Dr. King did come to town. And they would beat us out in that water. And then we would march at lunch hour down to the lunch counters, and they would beat us again. The worst beating we would get at night, we would march down, they have a slave market, that downtown in the middle of St. Augustine, Florida, and we would march this slave market just to pray, just to have prayer. That was the worst beating we took of all. So one night we were planning, that's Dr. King came to town and was in this little motel at it was a white lady from New York. She had this beautiful beach home, and she heard Dr. King was in town, and she came by the motel and gave Dr. King the keys. She was leaving town, that he could live in her home until the movement is over. And we met so late in this motel, Dr. King decided to go out there in the morning. Those Klansmen shot that house to pieces. Anyone in that house would have been killed that night. And so Dr. King stayed, kind of out in the black community. But that was a very violent movement. And I remember how when the settlement came, so much pressure was put on Dr. King to end that movement. And he said, I could never end it until these demands are met. But those demands was the kind of demands pressuring the United States Congress to pass the Civil Rights Bill. And Dr. King was pressured by the president to call for some type of halt on the movement. So we all went to Jacksonville, Florida, which was only about 50 miles, 60, 70 miles from St. Augustine.
You gonna do
And we checked at the motel there, and we got discussing what can we do. And Dr. King called the head of the sheriff. He tried to speak to the sheriff back in St. Augustine, Florida. And he went in and talked to Dr. King. And Dr. King sent Andy. And Andy went down to try to talk to the authorities to get to the head of the clans down there. And we were surprised. We turned the television on about 6 o'clock that evening. And Andy had conned them to say that they would not beat us anymore, but we agreed not to march anymore, and we'd come to the table to discuss the demands, and that ended the movement. Of the DeKalb County. Right.
Man. Y'all is the Black Brown Table. And Jose Williams. Y'all might hear my little girl up the same. She's Beyonce. So what I'm finna do, y'all, before I get into the documentary, man, this might be the first time ever what I'm finna show that has been shown on a YouTube show. So we got a live. I found a live phone call from one of our radio hosts, one of our popular Atlanta radio hosts, and I listen to a lot of talk radio archives because I love talk radio. And Jose Williams called in. So before we get to the documentary, I definitely want to run this first. It's very entertaining. I hope y'all listening. So check it out. Let's roll.
Gentlemen, it's my distinct and humble pleasure to bring to the microphone and airways of News Radio 640 WGST, to bring into your homes one of the veterans of the civil rights movement, a man who ate many meals, not only with me at This Is It, but with Dr. Martin Luther King, a man who went.
Whoa, my bad. Hold on, let's do this before we get started. This is fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. We are not a monetized channel. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use only. All the videos I'm showing is fair use only. Fair use only. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. This is all commentary. For fair use is used and permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit educational or personal use tips and the balance of favor of use. Okay, y'all, I had to get that in. My bad. All right, let's crank it up.
To the mountaintop, a man to bring to the microphone and
giving us the time, trouble, and legality for the final chapter of ridding y'all off the face of the earth. Your solution to our problem is greatly appreciated, so keep selling us your soul. Thank you.
Yee-hoo! And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct and humble pleasure to bring to the microphone and airways of News Radio 640 WGST, to bring into your homes one of the veterans of the civil rights movement, a man who ate many meals, not only with me at This Is It, but with Dr. Martin Luther King, a man who went to the mountaintop, a man who white folks would rather not deal with and pick Andy Young to deal with when they would send the Right Reverend Jose Williams into their town. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to you the Right Reverend Dr. Jose Williams.
Red Fox, may I speak to Ralph from business?
Jose, how you living, Jose?
Lord.
Good, my brother. I know you living large, all them chilies you ate. You know, that was a record plate that you had, man.
It's a record plate?
I'm serious. I ain't never seen him just pull the chilies on top of the table, you know?
I just know that, my granddaddy lived, he got 97, he loved chilies. My grandmama lived, and she got 92. My mama still living, she's 91, and all of them was great children eaters.
But God bless them, Reverend Jose. You know, they probably would have lived to be 200 if they left them chilies alone.
Now, this never played before. This is a call on the talk radio show. Jose Williams called in to the Ralph from Ben Hill show. He was one of the most popular black talk radio show hosts in Atlanta. He helped shape the culture of Atlanta politics, of Atlanta black politics. This guy, Ralph from Ben Hill. Let's go.
So I'm trying to load up. Ralph, I had to call your show because, I've been ill. I was shot through the hip 1944 in World War II, and things never worked like they work now, but I'm up and going now.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I want you young guys to really step forward because the police are maliciously murdering black people in this town.
How can you say that, Jose?
Now, because the police job is to protect not only our property and our pursuit of happiness and liberty, but our life.
But we had a chief that was a dog, John Inman, and he was actually sending his men out killing folks. But how can you say that this is happening now when the brothers are in charge?
When they go in that punch and that shot just loosely at random and kill an innocent 8-year-old child, and they didn't find no drugs, to tell you the truth. I went and checked it out. And they could have waited till this guy. They'd have never done that if that had been a white family, and I'm telling you, like they murdered that man the other day over there on Hamilton Road. The man had a butcher knife. 8 policemen can't arrest one man. If you give me authority, I will arrest him if he ain't got nobody knife. He shot that man in the heart. They could have just as easily shot him in the leg or in the shoulder. And they would not have done it, I can tell you right now, had that been a white man.
You know, I say the same thing. If that had been a little white boy, you'd have had Neil Boyce and everybody out there crying with violins, raising money for the funeral. But since it was a black boy, they took the murder out on the whole family, talking about it was the mama's fault and the daddy's fault.
So what we got to do, I just got to get back out in these streets. I don't have any choice. The other thing on is,
Jose, you too old. You and Joe Lowry and these other brothers, y'all need to sit down, my brother, and let the young bloods take over.
Sit back, and y'all ain't done nothing about these recent murders, so I'm coming out of the hole. Now, the other thing is, Bell has been a friend to me, but if he is going to be chief of police, he ought to be praised when the job is done, but he must take the condemnation when the job is not done.
I agree.
And Bell out here riding around in that doggone limousine
with that fancy suit on.
He acting just like he's a movie star. He better singing and preaching and get these policemen. I'll tell you another thing, Ralph. Too many of these policemen setting up and check out.
This is a Black Bround Table exclusive. Black Bround Table exclusive.
Come on, kill a person. Now, I want to blow your mind with one other thing, Ralph.
All right.
Ralph, I was hoping Duke would win.
I was too. People thought I was crazy when I called him.
I was hoping, Ralph, that's the only way that other people are going to come together with a Duke. But when somebody tell me Duke,
they talk about David Duke. If you know who David Duke is, look up David Duke.
The most racist governor in the history of Georgia was Lester Maddox.
That's right.
And I can run it down. I won't take your time, but anybody challenge me, I'll call you back. We got more out of Lester than any governor in the history of the state.
I made that point Saturday.
But if you go to Alabama right now, and you said something about George Wallace, he appointed more blacks and gave blacks more state business and helped the blacks. I'm telling you, those people can tell you, but the other thing gets me, Ralph. Look at all the crime in the black community in New Orleans. Look at all the drugs. Look at all the teenage pregnancies. Look at all the employment. Hell, Duke ain't been in office. It's been the Democratic Party.
Woo!
It's been the Republican Party. We're allowing the slave master to continue.
Hold on. When I talk politics, I tell you, we ain't no motherfucking Republicans. We ain't no Democrat. There was November 17th, 1991. Listen what the Honorable Hosea Williams say.
In the black community in New Orleans. Look at all the drugs. Look at all the teenage pregnancies. Look at all the employment. Hell, Duke ain't been in office. It's been the Democratic Party.
True.
It's been the Republican Party.
You hear that?
Woo! It's showtime!
The son of OGUN got to talk tonight. The son of OGUN got to talk tonight.
We are lying.
The Democrats, the Republicans, they don't give a fuck about nobody black. Let me catch this phone call. Here we go.
The slave master to continue mislead us. Man, if Duke had got elected, I'm going to go down and got them black folks together and turn that state upside down with the right side up.
You need to rest, my brother. You need to sit down, rest them lips, and rest them hips. You got troubles ahead with that crazy district attorney out there. You handling that case?
Well, let me tell you about that, Ralph. He bit off more than could chew.
Say he picked the wrong nigga to mess with.
He picked the wrong nigga to I'm a fighter. And I'm going to tell you, Ralph, he came at me so viciously. Ain't nobody in this county ever been tried for a felony. And he indicted me for 2 felonies and 3 misdemeanors. And Ralph, I stopped when I did, but I stopped. And I told the guy, some Reverend Hosea Williams, man. And I said, without talking with the guy, but Ralph, the guy was going to fight me. I'm 65 years old. I said, you hit me, I'm kidding you. And I wasn't lying. I ain't going to be scuffing no young dude out there. And when I got angry, I did leave. All right, I'm guilty of a misdemeanor. Ain't nobody ever been tried for a felony. And indicted me for 2 of them. Ralph, the other damnable thing, the law he tried me under, Ralph, was passed by the Georgia legislature in 1990.
Just passed the law for you.
Listen, no. It was passed in 1990. It was repealed in 1991. The legislature. The law was repealed in this winter when the legislature met.
Well, my brother, you got my continued support.
Well, let me tell you I'm going.
All right.
The real reason they want me off that commission.
Mm-hmm.
Black people are 42% of DeKalb County.
Right.
DeKalb County is the richest county south of the Mason and Dixon line. It's the third richest in America. Where black people are 42% of the county, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
We getting 4% of the money.
Uh-oh.
If every time they come with me, something, I say, that's all right. I tell you, thank you very much. But until my people who elected me over all opposition, we get our fair share of this money, I'm going to raise some hell out of here.
Keep doing it, my brother.
We are 42%. There are 7 commissioners. Not one black.
And they're trying to get rid of that.
I'm raising some hell out.
We were out there this weekend watching Morehouse play Clark, and they got a beautiful thing out there at the college out there, the football field. I looked over the woods, they had a soccer field. I looked over yonder, they had a pretty green baseball field. Y'all got DeKalb County laid out, but it looked to me that the white folks is enjoying everything out there.
And another thing, we got most of these people out here came here with industry.
Right.
They got all kind of degrees. You got one of the best qualified black populations in DeKalb County that you got any county in America.
And they laying back letting the white folk run them. Reverend Dr. Jose, we got to go. I want to thank you for checking in. God bless you, my brother. You stay in control out there in DeKalb County. Coming right back to your call, Alan Smyrna, Bob, and Kamala.
All right, man. I just wanted to goddamn get into that, man. You know the show. How long he been fighting, man. So let's go on and get into what y'all came here for. Let's get into the documentary, man. Part 2 of In His Own Words, man. Hosea Williams. Civil rights activist, ambassador of the poor, and an entrepreneur. So, you know, man. Let's go on and jump straight into it. Ain't no sense in hesitating.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
Well, you know, when I was at Morristown College, I waited table out at East Lake Country Club, which was one of the most celebrated country clubs in America at that time. And I was aware of the racism. We used to get off right here on the corner, off the bus. If you got off that bus, you was black, you went to one of 3 places. You went out to East Lake Country Club to work, or you went in the back of some of these white folks' house to work, or you went to jail. A lot of times we'd be on the corner waiting on the bus, and if you walk across the street, the cop would go, nigga, where you got, nigga, you bet you could that. And I never did forget that. So when I brought my family back to Atlanta and decided to give up science as a career and go into civil rights with Dr. King, I began looking for a home. I had these 5 kids, and we looked all over Atlanta. What had happened here was that there was a big family conflict in the house that I purchased. It was only one other black that lived on this street. And that lady sold me that house for a price you'd never believe. It was really tough. The guy in this house, behind the house I purchased, he would call us niggas all day long. I remember one day he hollered at me. I had my wife, and I was a lover of yards. I had the most beautiful lawn, yard, flowers. People coming from miles around just to look at my yard, ex-farm boy. And I remember one day he hollered at me. He said, "Hey, nigga." And I had my wife in church. I was in the yard working. My wife said, "Please, please don't let him get to you." "Hey, nigga." And "Ain't you that nigga Jose?" So I finally looked up and I said, "Yes, sir, I am that nigga Jose." He said, "Well, I want to tell you one thing. A lot of these white peoples are running out this neighborhood because this really was an exclusive white neighborhood. A lot of these white people are selling their home and running out this neighborhood because you moved in." I was the second one to move in. At that time, DeKalb County was less than 2% black. And he said, if you start talking, he said, "I want to let you know one damn thing, nigga. I was here."
Hold on now. If y'all just heard the exclusive that I just played, he said when he moved in, DeKalb County was less than 2% black. The radio interview I just played, he just said DeKalb County was 42% black in 1991. So from what I forgot what year he just said. So from the year he said he moved in, or he didn't say the year, it was less than 2%. Now it's 42%. It was 42% black in 1991. This was a prominent black neighborhood in Atlanta for, everybody that's not in the city.
Before you came, and I'll be here when you're gone. I talked and said, "I want to let you know one damn thing, nigga. I was here before you came, and I'll be here when you're gone." And I looked, I said, "You gonna be a long-living goddamn cracker." And my wife said, "Please." She's out begging me because the kids were there.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
What happened was when they built East Lake Meadows out here, and people tried to get me to fight East Lake Meadows at that time. And I couldn't fight them because they were poor people who building these projects. But they put out here 900, they built 990 units. And it all but destroyed this community out here. Where if they'd have put 200 units, 200 in Buckhead around, we would never known they were there. But that 994 families, East Lake Meadows, the low-rent housing project, became America's #1 crime community. And it pretty much destroyed our community. Now it's really being revived, and I don't think nothing can stop it. It's become now, again, it's becoming one of the most celebrated neighborhoods, in these houses selling for what is just totally unbelievable now.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
I never believed that because I didn't see how one could be viable and relevant in civil rights and in politics at the same time. That's why Dr. King never would even think of accepting any type of a political position. But after getting into Atlanta and blacks being elected and not seeing the change that I thought should have been brought about by black officials, I began to get more and more concerned. So I ran. The first time I ran, it was just a protest because this white candidate was endorsed by blacks over another black. And I ran as a protest candidate, and it was amazing the little money I spent and the large amount of votes that I received. So I finally decided after a while out here that I would challenge our state representative. He was very, very popular, supported by big money. And I ran the first time as a write-in candidate and did fairly well. But the next go around, I ran as a candidate, and I defeated this gentleman and ended up spending 10 years in the Georgia State Legislature, and I was convinced, I was there that long, that one of the greatest political enemy of black people were the elected black officials up there selling out. And one day I remember that we passed the bill. It was an insurance bill. And at that time, you only had about 18 blacks in the general legislature, the Georgia legislature. And we passed this bill by something like 4 or 5 votes. And we were so happy because a bill that would help poor people. And the Speaker of the House, who presides over the House of Representatives, called a recess. And just as sure as I'm born to die, those insurance companies went out in that lobby and bought off enough blacks. And we went back in session. The Speaker called the bill back up, and the bill was defeated. And I jumped that day and cussed everybody out. And they said I was leaving. And I resigned from the Georgia State Legislature. Somehow or another, I got the feeling that I could make a sizable contribution by being a member of the Atlanta City Council. And so then I ran for the Atlanta City Council. And really, I found big Uncle Tom's of the Atlanta City Council. Then I left up at the state legislature. So I gave that up. And a real conflict came out here. I only had one person on the DeKalb County commissions. And that commissioner was imprisoned. And I ran against the black candidate that the white power structure had chosen. And I defeated him, which made me the only politician in the history of Georgia, and that stands today, that have held all 3 positions. I was a city council person. I was a county commissioner, state legislature. No other politicians ever been able to do that in the history of Georgia. Also, I'm the only person in the history of Georgia have won a political position in the state legislature from prison.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
At the last retreat that we had with Dr. King, he enlightened us, and he kind of made me angry because at that time I'd been in jail 85 times, and I could name you some 15 or 20 of my friends had been murdered in these various demonstrations. And Dr. King kept saying to us, we have gone around the mountain long enough. Now it's time to come in and enhance the land. And I found this, I don't understand what you mean, Dr. King. I don't follow you. I get the impression you're saying, out of all the beatings and the jailings and the blood spilling, all of the civil rights activities, we have only been on the perimeter of this civil rights movement. And he said, Jose, you held it long and I thought you could, but that's exactly what I mean. And he went on to say that black people in America will never, never be free. Never. Just by wiping out racism. If black people wiped out every vestige of racism in America and totally integrated every aspect of American life, they would not be free. If black people will never be free, and he said it with such an emphasis, until we control our fair share of the economy, that our society was economically driven. The politicians make the laws and they implement or they supervise the implementation of the laws. But these politicians do what those boys with that money said do.
I don't know what year they were filmed. We'll see. I see what year it was filmed. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. 8 years ago. No. Well, shit, I don't know. It was way before then. It probably when they put it on. Because this is website, Hosea Hips. So I don't know, bro. I don't know what year. I don't know what year it was filmed, though. They probably just uploaded 2015. Because I think January 5th is his birthday. So,
and that's when he said that we must shift from the civil rights demands and to the economic demands. He also said in that meet that if I do not change, they're going to get me. But I cannot change because I know I'm pursuing God's will. And he said that when they get me, they're going to be very surprised because get me will not stop nothing. He said, that's what I want you all's commitment. Because the power to free black people is not in Martin Luther King Jr. It's in this team that we put together. And I want you all to promise me that if they get me or when they get me, you'll never let them break up this team. And I guess like Jesus was talking, he told us what they would do to try to break up the team after they murdered him, after he was gone. He said they're going to try to give some of you all the most prestigious and highest paying jobs in politics. Don't take it. We're going to try to give some of y'all the most prestigious and highest paying jobs in private industry. Don't take it. They're going to try to get some of y'all to start your own national organization, become competitive.
he's breaking down what happened to the black politics, black politicians after the civil rights movement. So when people are always saying, God damn, we can't get nothing passed for us. And this will basically he's showing you, he's talking about the blueprint Dr. King told them about what would happen. The man was Dr. King was that guy. I'll never be around no Dr. King slander. I don't want to hear nothing bad about him.
SCLC, don't take it. And we promised him that because we didn't keep the promise, because that's what failed SCLC. The person that was in King's inner circle deserted the organization after his death. And that's what made, I don't know, be honest about it, black people today are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago. Because not only have we not gained our fair share of America's economy,
okay,
we have lost control of the economics of our communities.
Hold on.
And that's across this country. Not only have we not gained
Let's run this shit back.
our fair share
How many
of
people in here? Hold on.
are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago.
5 people watch.
Because not only...
How you feel about what he's saying?
That's what made, I don't know, be honest about it, black people today are worse off in America than we were 35 years ago. Because not only have we not gained our fair share of America's economy, we have lost control of the economics of our communities.
Shit.
And that's across this country, not just in Auburn Avenue. It's true in Holland. It's true in Boston, Washington. And it's been amazing to me that the white power structure obviously came to their senses and said, stop repressing them, stop rejecting them, open the door and let them come on in. And black people unwisely throughout this nation went out through white America and spent all of our money. White America did not reciprocate, did not spend hardly any money in the black community. And the black community across America went broke. That's what happened to Auburn Avenue. And it's really pitiful that the blacks that we got in office, in many cases, they became the house niggas, product of the white power structure, which resulted in them becoming a bigger enemy to the people, just as big an enemy, in some instances more enemy to the people, than their white predecessors. And that's why today it really hurts me the number of people died A number of people died, black and white, getting us the right to register and vote. And the vote turned out to be such a negative to us. Evidence of that after we got the voters' bill and had scope and did all the registered people to vote. They elected a black mayor in New York, a black mayor in Chicago, a black mayor in Boston, many cities. And today, they all again have white mayors because those blacks got in office and sold the black people out and became.
Let that sink in. Let that fucking sink in.
Today, they all again have white males because those blacks got in office and sold the black people out. And became, well, if you check, like in Atlanta, where they elected all these black officials.
This why this guy was my hero. One of my heroes. Didn't bite his tongue at all. Long live Hosea Williams, man. No kizzy, man.
It only results in economic growth for a black clique, the black upper class, the black few. The masses became more poverty-stricken than they were under the white politicians. So it's been the hell of a tragedy when so many people bled and died to give us the right to vote. And the vast majority of the blacks that we voted in office became a puppet for the white power structure.
God!
And died to give us the right to vote. And the vast majority of the blacks that we voted in office became a puppet for the white power structure.
Baby!
Black politicians have become the enemy of the people. The same ones that motherfucker was in the ghetto with you, who went through systematic oppression with you. When he get in that office, guess what he say? Fuck you, nigga.
You're breaking every rule I have.
I really believe when Maynard Jackson first took office, I really believe he had good intentions. But after he got in office and served 4 years, he and his associates became money thirsty. And the elected officials of Atlanta began to feed the black community economic crumbs. That major money went to those white establishments. And I'm convinced that they promised Matt Jackson and his associates a viable economic future. But the masses of the blacks was left out. And the whites still control, I would say, 85% of the money that's made in the city. And it has been kept in line. It didn't change when Andy Young became mayor. And it didn't change when Bill Cameron became mayor. And it has been hurting because you realize you never had a mayor in Atlanta that was raised in Atlanta. Every single one of them was migrants. and they didn't know how Atlanta truly became Atlanta. I don't guess it's interesting, but the black community in Atlanta, Georgia, which for ages was one of the richest black communities in America, today is one of the poorest communities. Um, and it was done under a black dominated control administrations. If you go down there now, it's just hard for a black company to get a contract from the city. A few black companies, they pick just a few, and those are the ones close to the mayor. But the masses of black companies, they are totally left out. And it's a planned program thing. It's not by accident. It is definitely by choice. And the black politicians, as I said, they have become an enemy of the people. I just, because what I've been trying to preach to black people and they don't listen to me, it's all right to listen to these black politicians during a campaign period. But our roughest time with them should be once they get elected, until they serve that term, demand that they carry out those promises they made. And they just don't do it.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
Atlanta truly amazes me. They have diminished the black economic power here. And I just don't see blacks being able to gain any economic power in the white communities or white areas that would be any significant. For instance, even today, I said we had Auburn Avenue, blacks had Auburn Avenue, and the white folks had Peachtree Street. Auburn Avenue has been demolished. It's been economically destroyed. And it was not accidental, it was intentional. It was planned to destroy it. But at the same time, today in Great Atlanta, the economic, I'd say, center of Atlanta would be Peachtree Street. Auburn Avenue is gone. I don't know a black on a single brick. Not only a building, I don't know a black on a brick on Peachtree Street. And it's probably with affirmative action. The blacks who got in office, and that's one thing that contribute to politics being so economically controlled. Almost in instance, he who can raise the largest amount of money gonna get elected.
Bro, this man said this shit. Do you know that's the problem right now with politics? It's corporate ruled. You heard him? The man who can raise the most money right now is gonna get elected. So if you know anything about politics, that's why they want to get money out of politics. If you know anything about what's going on right now, what the fight is for, this man said this shit, man. Walk with me.
And that came.
Hey man, if you're looking to hear about Jesus, you're looking to hear about the Egyptians, this ain't the channel for you, man. The Black Brown Table, we talk about motherfucking Black American politics. We talk about Black American heroes. This is what we do. Shout out to motherfucking MBK. Shout out to Each One Teach One. They gave us the blueprint, and now we building on it. Shout out to them, boy, man. Shout out to Rawborn, Sister Carver, Sanel, Truth the Story, man. Big up to the bros.
Came out of the money out of the campaigns of black politicians, but I've been out there from the Congress down to the city council. Black politics at this juncture of our life have been a great failure and a disappointment.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
I believe in a lot of those old sayings. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Sticks and stones will break my bones. but just words that never hurt me. The flag is just words. It's wrong. I'd like to see it's corrected, but that's a hell of a lot more wrongness in many other things than that flag. I can't believe how easy it is to organize black folks to massively demonstrate against the flag, but you can't hardly get in them to demonstrate against all this unemployment and all these corporate executives. The biggest enemy has been the biggest enemy. Certainly, these corporate executives, the biggest enemy of America today, because they've closed down plants all across America and taken those plants to Saigon in China.
What's going on right now with the UAW, my bad. They striking right now. Why does the CEO make $30 million, bro? $30 million. Then the CEO behind it made $20 million, $22 million, $21 million. Huh? The biggest enemy to America is corporations. That's who fund the senators. That's who fund the congressmen. That's why we can't get comprehensive legislation or comprehensive bill passed. You think they blocking the George Floyd bill? They blocking the John Lewis Voter Right Acts. Come on, man. Niggas talking about Democrat or Republican. Man, fuck both of them. Black Americans have not had their fair share in America when it comes to economics. What reparations mean? Reparations mean repair. But it ain't finna come from Donald Trump. It ain't finna come from Joe Biden, whole ass. Come on, man. We gotta wake up. Talk to him, Baba.
And have these products produced and bring the products back here and sell them for the same thing if they'd have made the products in America. That's the thing I want to fight. I want to fight prisons are just
talking about make America great. Hosea Weems talk about make America great. Make America great. We ain't talk about that racist shit, that Ku Klux Klan. We talk about make America great by getting rid of these corporations, funding these senators. That's why we ain't got climate change. That's why they goddamn defunded the EPA. That's why it's shit in our waters. That's why it's forever chemicals in our waters. That's why the ocean is hot as it is. Come on, man. That's why we losing the mulch down in the Gullah Geechee area on the coast. Water corrosion. Come on, man. Coastal corrosion. My bad. I said it wrong.
It's unbelievable how young men and young women don't have much of a choice other than to violate some law. They go to prison. They're treated like hell. They come out. They're right back in prison. One of the programs I'd like to start has been really worrying me. These young men come out of prison.
Man, I stand with any work. You know, man, I'm pro-worker. I'm pro-union, man. I was part of, but I went into management. I'm part of my local, 713. But I'm management now, so I got out the local. But I still support. I still stand with my union workers. Right now, up the street from me, my local Starbucks is on. They striking right now. I stand with them workers. I stand with the UAW. Bring the motherfucking 4-day work weeks. Bring the 32-hour work weeks. It studies out right now that shows it's not less production with 32-hour work weeks. Shout out to all the workers, man. Shout out to all my construction workers. Shout out to all my truck drivers. Now, I'm going to tell you the shaddies. Shaddies, man. Shaddies, I stand with the union. The Black Brown Table stand with all workers. We are pro-worker. Fuck these corporations. Get these corporations out of here. Get these corporations out of politics. Get rid of the dog money.
With these felony convictions, and they can't find a job nowhere. They give them $25 and one suit of clothes, and they're about ready to go to jail, back to jail in 24 hours. But it's really sad how America is lying powerless companies like China to destroy the viable economics of America.
Baby, you're breaking every rule I have.
I'm happy because all through history, individuals that made viable, relevant contributions, the vast majority of them was never realized until after their death. I probably receive right now more credit. I probably got 500 awards around the country. So I'm one of those Christians that believe that my gratitude will come to me once I'm dead and gone. I'm not worried about what they say about me here. I'm going to do what I believe is right and godly, irregardless what they say about me. You know, in this town here, they used to say I was the greatest thug. I was the biggest gangster. I was the biggest alcoholic I ever walked Atlanta streets. Well, they really began to understand now it was nothing but prosecution. You know, because I couldn't be controlled. And in Atlanta, you know, there were two things that Dr. King wanted to do before he died. And
What we see right now. We talking about a prime example right now. When he said he couldn't be controlled. Who we see right now in the news dominating all the sports world, dominating all the news outlets? Deion Sanders. You can say what you want to say about prime time, but he can't be controlled. And we can get into the Jackson State shit if y'all want to. I stay on, even though I got to get ready for the kickball game. And we can get into the Jackson State shit if y'all want to.
seriously, he said racism was an international fact. And the only way you could deal with it is deal with it internationally. So he wanted to get all the African leaders to meet with the American leaders, and let's have a battle plan to confront racism. The other thing Dr. King wanted to do to lead a movement in his hometown, Atlanta, Georgia.
Uh-oh. Did you hear who he said Dr. King wanted to work with? Not those dirty, stinking Africans. No.
African leaders to meet with the American. He said racism was an international fight.
International
and the
fight.
only way you could deal with it
Okay.
Is deal with it internationally. So he wanted to get all the African leaders to meet with the American leaders, and let's have a battle plan to get all the African leaders to meet with the American leaders.
Who, Dr. King?
Deal with it internationally. So he wanted to get all the African leaders to meet with the American leaders, and let's have a battle plan to confront racism.
Oh, we African.
The other thing Dr. King wanted to do to lead a movement in his hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. He never was able to lead a movement in Atlanta, Georgia. Every time we found a reason to come to Atlanta, like we went to Birmingham, like we went to Chicago, Savannah, Selma, every time he found a reason to come to Atlanta, the black leaders would get together and write him a letter and tell him, we do not want you in our town. His father signed one or two of the letters. And that's when Dr. King, after he was murdered, I promised him in his grave, I was going to lead a movement in Atlanta. So I became the demon of the century.
There it is. There it is right there. See, we ain't bullshitting over here, man. We ain't bullshitting over here. Shout out to Chauncey. You heard? Hold on. Let's go back to that. At the purest form, bro. At the purest form. Hold on. Now, matter of fact, they go right here now. It's just 2 minutes. Hold on, matter of fact, we can go right here.
Moment in my life. Before I left the orphan home, I'd been given an address.
We're going to keep it right here. All right. It's a lot on here.
That my father was supposed to live a school where he was supposed to be working. And back in those days, the shark skin shirt and pants became very popular. And I wrote him a letter asking him for a shark skin outfit. And you know, when he read my face, he's crying. He got out the letter and went in the loft of that house. And you know, he brought that letter out all those years. And he was trying to apologize to me that he wasn't able and he didn't mean to leave me out like that. That's the first time. I was 33 years old, first time. But we really became great friends. When he passed, he'd been sick for quite a while. And he called me. I'm still in Savannah where I was doing science work. And I visited Jacksonville. They really just, calling me almost every hour. And when I went into the room and he saw it was me, he started smiling and said, hold over. And I kissed him. This is the truth. And he died. But that's my father and I did become great friends before his death, yes. I had become quite a big man in the NAACP.
But you're going to cap it right though. Because these unbought and unbought. Now, let me show y'all something right quick. Yee. Damn, hold on. Because I want to keep it short. Now, here we go.
We were discussing the Washington movement, Poor People Campaign in Washington.
Shout out
and
to the Poor People
afternoon,
Campaign.
We were in the meeting, and someone said, Reverend Billy Cowles is outside, and he's upset. Dr. King said, oh my God, I forgot to tell you, I promised his wife, who's supposed to be a great soul food cooker, we'd have our feet on her table at 5:30. Now it's 5:45, and we sit in the meeting. Dr. King said, everybody rush, and get ready in a hurry. Let's go. So I ran down and got to my room. My key wouldn't open my door for some strange reason. The limousine that had been loaned to us, I opened my door. I could touch the limousine. And finally, I heard the driver tell Dr. King, Dr. King, I advise you get your top coat, because even though I have the car on, it's still chilly. And the last words he said in this world, okay, Jonesy, I'll get my top coat. And I heard this thing say, pow! And I honestly thought someone had thrown a firecracker into the air. And I looked around to rebuke whoever was that stupid. And I heard something, bloop, fell up above my head. And I looked up, and his leg was sticking through the rail. Dr. King only wore one type of sock and one type of shoe. And I knew that was him. I said, oh my God, they got it. And then I had to run about 50 feet down and back up, and I got to him. And Ralph was holding his head, and Andy was there. And a guy from Africa who had been traveling with us as a newsman from Africa. We found out later on he was working for the CIA. No, the FBI, working for the FBI. And he'd taken a lot of pictures of Dr. King. And I grabbed him in and threw that, choking him.
Ralph.
Because the bullet hit Dr. King right here. And went round and cut his medulla oblongata. And I didn't want people to remember Dr. King was half his face shut off. So Andy ran and got a towel. And somehow or another, they took one more picture after I made him into that camera. And it shows Dr. King down with a towel on his face. But I'm going to tell you, I was an expert gunner in World War II. When I ran up on that balcony and I looked from whence that bullet had to come, the distance of that bullet, and just could feel the wind blowing that day, I said, whomever shot that rifle was one of the best in the world. He shot one bullet. And I believe if Dr. King hadn't moved to go back and get his top coat, the bullet would have hit him between the eyes. The bullet hit him right here. But what happened, and then Ralph said, we'll go in and take him on to the hospital. Jose, you get all the staff together. 3 of us saw it, Dr. King, after he was shot. 3 SLC executive staff members. Andy, Abernathy, and Jose Williams. Those are the 3 that saw that body. Now listen to that. So I got in the yard and I was about to lose my cool because I was thinking if I could take some molecules out there and make me some guns and kill me some white folks. And one man said, now be cool. You're doing the same thing you promised me you'll never do. And I started crying. And then I heard Jesse Jackson say, he told me, Jesse, take our people onto the mountaintop. That didn't bother me. But I know Jesse got nowhere near him. And then Jesse said, I held his head in my hand while he died. And that didn't get to me. And then Jesse said, look at my shirt. And I looked around, sure enough, and Jesse Jackson's shirt was drenched in blood. And I realized the only way Jesse could have gotten that blood was stoop down on that floor at the Lorraine Motel and rake that blood off that floor and put that blood on him. And I went crazy. I really tried to kill Jesse. They grabbed us and all that, but that hurt me so bad. The other thing was, when Abernathy came back, says, no need of prayer, no need of cry, no need of nothing. He is gone. It's over. He's gone to glory. And we called the meeting, the staff meeting, and Jesse claimed to have been ill. And Abernathy told him, Jesse, go ahead to the room and relax. Jesse had to have run like hell that room into that airport because he got out of Memphis to Chicago. All us feeling, everybody was still in the motel, cut the televisions on the next morning. That was Jesse Jackson in Chicago with that same bloody shirt on, telling that same lie. I've never respected Jesse since that moment. When they shot Dr. King, a black guy come running around that corner saying, he went that way, he went that way. James Earl Ray no more killed Dr. King and I killed him. And everybody knew it. He was a practice set up. And the guy said, went that way, went that way. And said, who went that way? He said, that man ran out that building and dropped the rifle on the sidewalk and jumped in a white Mustang, had a red Alabama tag and took off. Well, hell, I wasn't worried. That's no car to America look like a Mustang, but a Mustang, a white red Alabama tag. Where's he going? The police have him like that. And I asked that rifle was left on that sidewalk. That was the rifle that James Earl Ray had purchased, but that was not the bullet that killed Dr. King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I bring the live stream to an end, man, I thank everybody for tuning in, man. Thank everybody for showing love, man. A couple people that did come, but don't forget, like, subscribe, share the show. Thank y'all for always showing love to the Black Brown Table. And have a great day.